So what does the Eucharist, the Lion King movie, Josh Groban, have in common with today's readings? They all have to do with rising and the power of raising up. That word rising came to my mind with today's readings, but it wasn't just the word. Many people who read and meditate on the Bible actually see images and paint a picture in their mind of what's happening. I see that, but I also hear things. I hear background music and sounds like movie scores and those audiobooks that have sound effects. In some cases, I hear pop or rock or easy listening songs, but mostly it's traditional or contemporary church hymns. With today's reading, one of Josh Groban's songs came to mind. It was a song originally done by Secret Garden called You Raise Me Up. Have you heard it? I hope so, because I don't want to have to sing it. The first verse reads, "When I am down, and oh, my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burdens me, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me." How many times are we also down and weary? It might be about money or relationship problems, physical illness, health problems, or it might be those spiritual dark night of the soul problems that we hear the saints talk to us about. How do we get out of that rut? How do we overcome the down and weariness? We hear those cute bumper sticker phrases like, "It's not how many times you fall, but how many times you get up." Or the difference between try and triumph is that little hump. But where does the power come from that helps us rise and be lifted up? In the first reading today, we find Job, who is just not having a good day. He is in misery and almost without hope, unable to find rest. He is like the song, down and weary, and he asks, "When shall I arise?" As we sing in today's psalm, he who created the stars promised to heal the brokenhearted, bind up our wounds, and help the lowly, like Job and Josh Groban. That promise is fulfilled in today's gospel. Simon's mother-in-law is also down and weary. She is laid low by affliction, but too weak to save herself. Jesus grasps her by the hand and helps her up. That word, translated help, is actually Greek for raising up. And that same verb is used again in Mark's gospel when Jesus commands a dead girl to arise, and is also used to describe his own resurrection. That one word, help, sometimes it's all we can say. That's a one-word prayer. But it's just as powerful as prayers of 100 or even 1,000 words. I was sick a couple weeks ago, that flu that went around, and I was out for 2 or 3 days. I know some of you may have been sick also. And laying in bed, I couldn't really do anything. I couldn't get up, get a glass of water, and I had that feeling that I couldn't say a whole rosary. I could maybe say one word, and that word would be help. But that word is just as powerful. Where do we see raising up that strengthens or heals or helps us? In the movies, if you remember, Rafiki lifting up Simba in the air in the Lion King movie, and I hear the Circle of Music song in the background. There's also the movie that maybe they got that from, which was Roots. If you remember, I think it was Kunta Kinte who was lifted up, and he said, "Behold, the only thing greater than yourself." In Mass, in just a few moments, at the Eucharist, Father will recite the words of institution over the sacred elements, the bread and wine which transforms into the precious body and blood. And he will lift them up for all to see in every Mass, at every time and in every place around the world for our adoration. In today's gospel, notice Jesus' healing touch is not limited just to Simon's mother-in-law or that household. Instead, he reaches and heals and lifts up the whole town that very day. And the next day, he goes to nearby villages to preach and heal. What Jesus has done for Simon's mother-in-law and her town, he has done for all humanity. He raised her, he raised them up, and he raises all of us up also who lay dead through sin. And like Simon's mother-in-law, there is only one way we can thank him for the new life he has given us. We must rise to serve him and spread his joy. In the second reading, Paul takes this whole idea to another level. Like Job and Simon's mother-in-law, Paul is also weak, but Paul becomes weak to win over the weak. He becomes all things to all to save at least some. Paul and others like him, like Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Jesus, they may have appeared frail and weak, but were able to help and heal and influence and encourage so many people. The chorus and climax of Groban's song goes like this. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. Our lives must be our thanksgiving, as Paul describes. We must tell everyone the good news, the purpose for which Jesus has come, that others too may have a share in this salvation. God raised his Son on the third day, according to the Scriptures. Priests raise and elevate Jesus in every Mass around the world, and it is Jesus who raises us out of our sickness and sin. So may we praise the Lord, who heals the brokenhearted, and rise to serve him and spread his gospel and his joy.